The moment Chloe Miller slammed Zara Thompson's head into the cold school wall, the hall fell silent, as if the air itself had been knocked out of everyone around them. Zara, a 12-year-old black girl, staggered for a heartbeat, then steadied herself, her small frame tense but unbroken. The other students gasped, some frozen with fear, others wide-eyed at the shocking aggression, while Chloe's sneer widened, thinking her dominance undisputed. Zara's lips pressed into a thin line, the pain burning, but her mind raced faster than her heart, recalling every hour she had spent mastering her martial arts, every lesson her sensei had drilled into her about control, focus, and strength. Around them, whispers spread like wildfire, some students secretly rooting for Chloe, others quietly hoping Zara would not crumble. Teachers rushed toward the scene, their eyes sharp with concern, while Zara's friends held back, unsure whether to intervene or wait for her cue. Chloe laughed, thinking she had humiliated Zara, unaware that the girl she had attacked carried a power hidden beneath her small, determined frame. Zara's hands clenched at her sides, her breath steadying, her body moving into a stance that seemed natural yet deadly, a subtle warning invisible to anyone who underestimated her. She spoke quietly but firmly, "Enough." The word carried more weight than any scream could have, reverberating through the corridor and freezing Chloe's grin into uncertainty. Some students whispered about what they were witnessing, cameras in pockets lifting discreetly, capturing a moment they didn't fully understand. Zara's hazel brown eyes never left Chloe, calm but sharp, calculating the right moment to act, demonstrating that courage often hides behind patience and resilience. The hallway, once chaotic with laughter and teasing, now hummed with tension as everyone sensed that the girl they assumed powerless might soon change the game entirely. If you are watching this story and believe courage is more powerful than fear, take a moment to subscribe, because what Zara does next will shock everyone. Zara took a deep breath, recalling her black belt training, the discipline that taught her control before action, focus before strike. Chloe's confidence wavered slightly, but she still stepped forward, unaware that her attack had only awakened the quiet strength she had dismissed. The stage was set for a confrontation that would teach lessons far beyond the school walls. If you've ever faced someone bigger or stronger than you thought, comment where you are watching from, because the next moment will reveal that true power is never obvious. The hallway seemed to hold its breath as Zara Thompson's brown eyes never left Chloe Miller, her small frame tense but unyielding, every muscle coiled like a spring ready to release. Chloe, still smirking, took a step closer, thinking her previous blow had shaken Zara enough to submit, unaware that she was about to face the quiet fury of someone who had trained for moments exactly like this. Students pressed against lockers, their whispers vibrating through the corridor, phones discreetly raised to record what they sensed would be unforgettable. Zara's mind raced, each second stretching into eternity, recalling her sensei's lessons: control before action, awareness before strike, respect even in conflict. Her fists clenched briefly, not in anger but in preparation, and she shifted slightly, positioning herself in a stance that spoke of both readiness and restraint. Chloe's laughter, sharp and mocking, cut through the tension, but the confidence behind it faltered as she noticed the calm determination radiating from Zara. A teacher approached, hand outstretched, but paused mid-step, sensing that intervening now could provoke more chaos than it would prevent. Zara breathed slowly, letting the rhythm of her heartbeat match the focus she had cultivated for years, while Chloe's smirk began to falter under the weight of unseen power. The other students' eyes darted between the two girls, some in fear, some in awe, some already imagining the consequences of underestimating someone like Zara. A subtle breeze from the open windows stirred balloons from a nearby classroom party, the sound oddly echoing, marking the pause before the storm. Then, in a whisper sharp enough to cut the tension, Zara said, "Stop now, or face what you don't see coming." The words carried a calm authority that unsettled even Chloe, who had been counting on submission rather than confrontation. A few students gasped, others leaned closer, cameras capturing every twitch, every second of hesitation. Chloe's eyes narrowed, and she lunged again, faster this time, but Zara moved with fluid precision, sidestepping, her body weight balanced perfectly, absorbing the motion without strain. The hallway seemed to slow as students realized that this was not ordinary retaliation, but a demonstration of discipline and skill. A young girl taking control of a situation everyone assumed she would crumble under. Chloe's surprise turned to frustration as she swung wildly, each motion meeting air, her confidence shattering with every missed attempt. Zara's counterattack was measured, deliberate, a tap here, a pivot there, enough to unbalance without causing injury, showcasing mastery and restraint at once. The murmurs grew into whispers of awe as the small girl, underestimated in every sense, began to dictate the rhythm of the confrontation. Teachers now watched, unsure whether to intervene or allow the lesson of control to unfold naturally. Students who had once rooted for Chloe now found themselves silently rooting for Zara, sensing that courage and discipline could not be contained by assumptions or size. Finally, Zara held her stance, her gaze unflinching, and Chloe stumbled, her pride battered more than her body, realizing she had awakened a force she never accounted for. The hallway's tension slowly eased, replaced with respect, even from those who feared retaliation. If you believe in strength hidden behind patience, take a moment to subscribe, because the final chapter will show how courage can rewrite expectations. Comment below where you are watching from and share if you've ever been underestimated, because the conclusion will deliver a lesson in power, respect, and resilience. The hallway still buzzed with whispers as Zara Thompson's small, tense frame remained steady, her hazel-brown eyes locked on Chloe Miller, whose confidence had crumbled like brittle glass under the weight of respect she had never earned. Students pressed against lockers, phones secretly recording every precise movement, every subtle shift in the battle of skill and restraint. Chloe's fists shook as frustration boiled inside her, but she could not predict Zara's next move. Zara's stance was perfect, a lesson in discipline visible to everyone, her body radiating a calm power that made the air around her almost still. She thought of her training, of every hour spent learning patience, balance, and precision, and she knew this was the moment to teach a lesson larger than herself, a lesson about courage, dignity, and the consequences of cruelty. Chloe swung again, fast and wild, but Zara pivoted effortlessly, letting the momentum carry Chloe forward while maintaining complete control, her small hands guiding her attacker's motion instead of striking with brute force. Gasps rippled through the students as they realized the girl they had dismissed as small and weak was commanding every action without aggression. One teacher stepped closer, hand raised, uncertain whether to intervene, sensing that this was more than a fight. It was a display of moral authority through physical discipline. Zara's voice, calm and deliberate, cut through the murmurs. Violence never proves strength, only control and respect do. The words carried, echoing down the corridor, and some students nodded subtly, even as others stared in disbelief. Chloe's face flushed with anger, humiliation, and fear, the lessons she had ignored for so long crashing into her in an instant. Zara shifted her weight, tapping lightly on Chloe's arm and guiding her backward, never causing harm but asserting dominance, showing that strength was measured not by who could hurt the other, but by who remained composed under pressure. The murmurs grew louder, some students whispering admiration, others shame, while the teachers exchanged glances, realizing this confrontation would be remembered long after the bell. Finally, Zara held her stance, the tiniest exhale marking the end of the encounter, her eyes still on Chloe as she straightened her back, steady, unshaken, showing that courage was silent but undeniable. Chloe stumbled, defeated, realizing that mocking, belittling, and relying on assumptions about race and size had led her to a reckoning she was unprepared for. The students erupted into quiet applause, some even cheering, as the respect for Zara spread like wildfire. She turned to her friends, smiling faintly, knowing that she had not only defended herself, but rewritten the rules of how fear and prejudice were confronted. Teachers nodded approvingly, some wiping a tear, some proud of the discipline Zara displayed, while Chloe's expression remained frozen, the lesson painfully clear. If you are watching this story and believe in courage over fear, take a moment to subscribe, because the final chapter will deliver a resolution and a lesson you will never forget. Comment below where you are watching from, and share if you've ever faced someone who underestimated you, because the conclusion will leave you inspired and empowered. The hallway was charged with a new kind of energy as Zara Thompson straightened fully, her small frame radiating confidence, every muscle relaxed yet prepared, her hazel-brown eyes sharp and unyielding. Chloe Miller stood frozen, her pride shattered, her sneer gone, replaced by disbelief and grudging respect she had never anticipated. Students who had watched in fear now whispered among themselves, some clapping quietly, others recording the final moments of a confrontation that would be remembered long after they left school. Teachers stepped closer, no longer needing to intervene, knowing that the lesson had been taught in a way words could never convey. Zara's friends gathered around her, smiling faintly, admiration and relief mingling in their expressions, while she kept her gaze on Chloe, offering a calm nod that said more than any threat or retaliation could. Chloe swallowed hard, realizing that cruelty had never been a true measure of power and that underestimating someone because of age, size, or race could lead to consequences she had never imagined. The small black girl, once mocked and dismissed, had transformed the fear and tension of the hallway into respect and awareness, her black belt training visible in every controlled movement, every steady breath, every deliberate choice not to strike unnecessarily. A teacher cleared her throat, finally speaking aloud, praising Zara for her discipline and courage, acknowledging that true strength often goes unseen until tested. Chloe's classmates began to surround her cautiously, some whispering apologies, others simply offering silent acknowledgement of the girl they had misjudged. Zara finally spoke, her voice calm, measured and powerful, echoing in the hall. Strength is not about making others small. It is about standing tall even when everyone expects you to fall. Respect is earned through courage, patience, and control, not through fear or humiliation. The words sank in, resonating with students and teachers alike, carrying a lesson that extended far beyond the walls of the school. Chloe's expression softened slightly, the sting of humility settling in as she realized her actions had consequences she had never prepared for, and that judging others by appearance or prejudice was a weakness, not a strength. Zara turned toward her friends, the crowd, and the teachers, a faint smile breaking across her face, knowing she had not only defended herself, but taught a lesson in courage, integrity, and resilience that would ripple throughout the school. Phones captured the moment, whispers turned into admiration, and even those who had once mocked her now looked at her with genuine awe. If you are watching this story and believe courage and patience can rewrite assumptions, take a moment to subscribe, because stories like this deserve to be shared. Comment below where you are watching from, and remember, true power is quiet, disciplined, and rooted in respect. Never underestimate anyone based on size, appearance, or race, because courage can come in the smallest of packages and lessons of integrity last a lifetime.